The first thing that felt wrong wasn't the sound, but the silence right before it. I was standing in the second row of folding chairs, holding a cheap program that smelled like fresh ink and dust, when the room seemed to hold its breath. The auditorium lights were dimmed low, that warm amber glow that made everything feel softer than it really was. Parents leaned forward with phones half raised, whispering last-second encouragements toward the stage. I remember thinking how strange it was that my hands were shaking when I wasn't even the one performing. My name is Daniel Mercer. I was 37 then. I worked in logistics, the kind of job where you're invisible as long as everything moves on time. I liked it that way. Quiet competence had always been my currency. That night, all I wanted was to watch my daughter dance. Lily was 6, all elbows and concentration, her hair pulled into a bun so tight she complained it made her eyebrows feel too surprised. She stood backstage with the other girls in their pale blue tutus, peeking through the curtain like they were spying on the world instead of about to step into it. When she spotted me, her face lit up, and she gave a tiny wave she clearly hoped no one else would see. Next to me, my wife, Rachel, sat rigidly straight. Her smile was fixed, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. She'd been like that all evening, polite, sharp around the edges, correcting me under her breath about where to sit, when to clap, how to hold the program so it didn't crinkle. Small things, easy to dismiss. I told myself she was nervous for Lily. I told myself a lot of things back then. Don't slouch, she murmured without looking at me. I shifted automatically. Old habits. The music started, soft piano notes drifting through the speakers. The girls took their places. Lily was front row, slightly off-center. Of course she was. My chest tightened with pride, so sudden it almost hurt. I leaned forward, forgetting everything else. That's when Rachel leaned closer. "You didn't iron her ribbon properly," she said, still smiling for anyone who might glance our way. I blinked. "What?" "The ribbon. It's crooked. I told you this morning." I looked at the stage. From where we sat, Lily's ribbon looked perfect. Or maybe I just wanted it to. "It's fine," I whispered. Rachel's jaw tightened. Her hand closed around the armrest between us. The smile stayed in place, but something underneath it shifted like ice cracking under weight. "You never listen," she said. Not loud, not quiet, just enough. The dance went on. Lily moved through her steps, serious and careful, counting under her breath the way we'd practiced in the living room. I should have been lost in it. Instead, I became acutely aware of every movement beside me. Rachel's foot tapping, her fingers drumming once, twice, stopping when another parent glanced over. When the music swelled, Rachel stood. I looked up at her, confused. "What are you doing?" She turned to face me then, fully. For the first time that night, her smile vanished. In that split second, I noticed something I hadn't before. Across the aisle, near the stage stairs, the ballet teacher had paused, her attention no longer on the dancers. Her eyes were on us, on Rachel, on me. Rachel raised her hand, and in that frozen breath before anything happened, I understood something I couldn't unlearn. Whatever this was, it wasn't new. It had just finally found an audience. I didn't sleep that night. The image of Rachel's face, tight, controlled, certain, looped behind my eyes every time I closed them. The sound itself replayed too, sharper in memory than it had been in the moment. Not loud, not chaotic, just decisive. A line crossed with confidence, as if she'd been waiting for the right lighting and the right witnesses. By morning, the house felt unfamiliar. Not hostile. Worse, normal. Rachel moved through the kitchen like nothing had happened, humming while she poured coffee into her travel mug. Lily sat at the table, legs swinging, talking excitedly about how Ms. Elena said she'd done beautiful turns and might get a solo next season. I watched Rachel listen, nodding, smiling, the picture of a proud mother. "You did amazing, sweetheart," Rachel said, reaching out to smooth Lily's hair. Her hand lingered, gentle, practiced. I waited for something, an apology, an acknowledgement, even irritation. But when Rachel finally looked at me, her eyes slid past like I was a piece of furniture she'd already decided to keep. "Can you take Lily to school?" she asked. "I'm running late." I wanted to say no. I wanted to say a lot of things. Instead, I nodded and reached for my keys. That was how it had always been. I absorbed. I adjusted. I told myself peace was built on small sacrifices. Over the years, those sacrifices stacked up quietly. My opinions softened, then disappeared. My friendships thinned. My voice learned when not to rise. Driving Lily to school, she stared out the window, humming yesterday's music. "Daddy," she said suddenly. "Yeah, bug. Mommy was really mad last night." The words hit harder than the sound had. "I know," I said carefully. "But that wasn't about you." She nodded, accepting that in the way children accept things adults say, because they have to. As I drop her off, she hugged me tighter than usual, her small arms fierce around my neck. That afternoon, I found myself replaying old moments I'd once filed away as nothing. Rachel correcting me mid-sentence at dinner parties. Jokes at my expense that landed just a second too late to laugh at. The way she'd speak for me when someone asked a question, like I'd already answered wrong in her head. There have been other scenes too. Quieter, private, doors closed, words sharpened. I told myself every marriage had rough edges. But that night at the recital had sanded something down to bone. After dinner, while Rachel showered, her phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't reach for it at first. I wasn't that guy. I'd never been that guy. Trust was one of the few things I thought we still had. The screen lit up again. A name I didn't recognize. No emoji. No heart. Just a first name, Elena. My stomach tightened. The ballet teacher. I stared at the glowing screen, my reflection faint and warped against the glass. The message preview was short, innocent enough on its own. "She did really well tonight. We should talk soon." I didn't open it. I didn't need to. Something cold and precise settled into place inside me, like a puzzle piece I hadn't known was missing. Later, when Rachel came to bed, she curled toward the edge, her back to me. I watched the ceiling fan spin, slow and steady, counting rotations the way Lily counted steps. For the first time, the question wasn't what she'd done. It was how long it had been happening. And downstairs, on the counter, her phone buzzed again. The next morning, I followed the only thread that made sense. Rachel had left her phone behind while she rushed Lily to an early rehearsal. That never happened. She guarded that thing like it held her pulse. It sat on the kitchen counter, face down, silent. For a long moment, I just stared at it, listening to the refrigerator hum, the house breathing around me. Then I picked it up. The lock screen lit instantly. No code. She'd stopped using one months ago, joking that she had nothing to hide. I opened the messages and scrolled until I found the name again. Elena. The thread wasn't long, which somehow made it worse. Short messages, careful wording, compliments about Lily's progress, then subtle shifts. Late-night timestamps, familiarity that didn't belong to a teacher and a parent. One message from Rachel stopped me cold. "Last night was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that in public." There it was. Not denial, not confusion, ownership. Another message followed from Elena. "You were emotional. I understand." But he's starting to notice. I set the phone down slowly, my hand steady in a way that surprised me. The shock had passed. What replaced it was clarity, not rage. Focus. That afternoon, I went to the studio under the pretense of picking Lily up early. The lobby smelled like rosin and lemon cleaner. Parents chatted softly along the walls. Elena stood near the bar, posture perfect, expression composed. When she saw me, something flickered across her face. Recognition. Calculation. "Daniel," she said too warmly. "Can we talk?" I nodded. We stepped into the hallway, away from the mirrors. "I know," I said quietly. Her shoulders stiffened. "Know what?" "You saw what happened," I continued. "And you didn't just see it. You stepped into it." She exhaled slowly, the way someone does when the game is up. "Rachel's been under a lot of pressure. So have I." She looked at me then, really looked. "Not as an accessory to my wife. As a person." "You don't deserve that," she said. "And Lily doesn't either." That was the moment I chose not to stay small. That evening, I asked Rachel to sit with me at the table after Lily went to bed. No raised voice. No accusations. Just the truth laid flat between us like a document that needed signing. "I saw the messages," I said. She didn't deny it. She didn't cry. She crossed her arms and said, "You embarrassed me." The words landed, Hollow. I'm done being your shield, I replied. And I'm done teaching our daughter that silence is normal. The argument that followed wasn't loud. It was sharp, clean, final. By the end of it, something in her had collapsed inward, the confidence gone, replaced by something smaller. For the first time, she had no audience. The weeks after were quiet in a new way. Lily laughed more. I slept better. Elena kept her distance, professional and respectful. But one day, she handed me a note after class. It wasn't about Rachel. It was about Lily. Encouragement, support, proof that someone had seen the right things all along. That night, I stood alone in the kitchen, the same place I'd first felt the floor shift beneath me. The house was still, peaceful. If you're listening to this and you recognize that quiet fear, that slow erasing of self, know this: noticing is the beginning. Speaking is the turning point. If this story meant something to you, take a second to like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. Storms pass. Silence returns. And sometimes when the ground finally settles, you realize your roots have been growing deeper the whole time.